course, it's a lot of money involved. So you don't want like all your money to go and you don't know what happens. So initial due diligence, like really understanding how the property is, what is cash and cash, like trying to really understand the property is the most important thing. If you don't get that right, you'll never be there to invest, since it's a lot of money. And also you have to build your mindset on that. If anything happens, you can go through it. It is just a short term. It will, like, you'll pass that phase. So you really have to understand that things can happen and you are going to take risks and make sure it's work out well, and really understand the property where you are putting the money.
Welcome to the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. Walking the journey today. Absolutely love the conversation. The how-tos of getting started to taking action. And we all have done this along our journey as well too. Start by consuming information, studying, reading books, but then we have to take action. Sometimes the first thing to take action is going to be surrounding yourself with the right people, investing in yourself, investing in coaches and mentors, and then finally taking action and actually acquiring real estate. Yeah, today's guest did just that. Today's guest started as an internal medicine physician trained at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Then she transitioned from a hospitalist to a nocturnist after her daughter's birth, discovering her passion for telemedicine. Now she's an entrepreneur and continuing to invest in real estate. From just an amazing family, amazing conversation today. Everybody, please welcome Dr. Manisha Ghimire to the show. Welcome to the show. The sun is shining in the background for the listeners. Manisha is here. Tell us how it feels to be Manisha today.
It feels great. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. I listened to a couple of episodes after you reached out to me, and it was really, I saw some of my friends, some of my mentors, some of my coaches, like all the interviews in the past. And it's great to be able to talk to you here at this platform.
And what an awesome privilege to have you as well, too. And it's so cool that you go through there and you see people from the community, coaches and mentors and friends. That's so cool that the community is building. And it's even cooler because people are taking that step out there and sharing. Not everybody is selling things, but there's so many inside of this community that are sharing, and that's so important. And we're going to dive into that for sure. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about your background and who Manisha is.
Sure. So I'm an internal medicine trained physician. I'm originally from Nepal, moved to United States 2011. I have a wonderful husband, 2 kids, and I'm also CEO and founder of Momkins. That's a marketplace where I connect new moms with trusted service providers. And in last year, I transitioned to telemedicine completely. So I'm licensed in all 51 states, so I can work from wherever I want to, with the freedom, and I'm loving it.
That's awesome. And when I read that too, in some information about you, 51 states, I'm so used to seeing 50 states, but there's 51. Is that Puerto Rico? Is that the 51 in there?
No, 51 plus DC. So that's
DC.
Yeah. So
okay.
DC is not counted in 50. So yeah.
Very cool. And so we reached out to you. Very interesting. I could take this conversation in 14 different ways, I'm sure. It's very interesting what you've got going on. But before we came on, we talked briefly about how we connected with you. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk about that. So we connected on LinkedIn, and it's so cool. And I talk about this all the time, Manisha, is that expanding your associations, getting outside of your comfort zone, there's so much to gain out there. Now, granted, it gets muddy. I'm sure your inbox is just buried with people trying to sell you things and financial advisors and mentor this and coach that, right? But you dug through that and here we are. So thank you for doing that. And to anybody else out there that we've reached out to and we've connected with, it's great. It's just have that first conversation. And typically you can find that or feel that sense of genuine message within those first pieces of content that you do receive back. So thank you again for that, for taking that step. But before we got into that, we talked a little bit too about your experience in real estate. So I'm going to set the entrepreneur side of aside. Maybe we'll have you come back and talk about that. I love that. Congratulations on that. Through this journey, you've also kind of jumped into real estate. Tell us a little bit how you went from practicing medicine and finding the time or taking those action steps required to first get started in real estate. What did that look like?
So me and my husband both are physicians. We worked so hard to earn all this money, make this money, and we wanted our money to grow. And the best way to see that happen is real estate. And so initially we were like, we wanted financial freedom early. We wanted to get there sooner. And what is the best way? We started indulging in a lot of books. We read a lot of books, Robert Kiyosaki, it's all-time favorite. And we also did coaching program, courses. We did Leti and Kenji course as well. And we were all in. We brought a couple of townhomes. We brought short-term rentals. This year we brought apartment building, 24 units as well. So really trying to explore more in all areas, like long-term, short-term, see which one we can get, which we like more. Also we invested a lot of, passive investing this year. And that we don't know yet because it will take time for
cycle.
The cycle complete. So we don't know where we are. But we are really trying to understand which is the best avenue for us, like active versus passive.
And I love that. So you started by consuming knowledge, consuming information, reading books. And you mentioned Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's definitely a beginning one. To get to that, once that seed is planted, that financial freedom, and you mentioned in there financial, it popped up in my mind, FIRE. It's financial independence, retire early kind of perspective. Yes. And you mentioned some other mentors that you had jumped into and took action. So those are huge pieces that really a lot of people don't get over. So there's the doing the studying, right? And then you have to take action by investing in yourself, I think is a great way to do it. And then taking action, step number 2 is pulling the trigger and getting some investments. And what I like about your path, Manisha, is that there were probably some fears going on in your mind when you're pulling these triggers. So tell us a little bit about that, because you did take action, and that's the step that a lot of people hesitate on and wait and may not ever take action. So what were some of those fears that were going through on your first acquisitions?
So first, it's a lot of money involved. So you don't want all your money to go and you don't know what happens. So initial due diligence, really understanding how the property is, what is cash and cash, trying to really understand the property is the most important thing. If you don't get that right, you'll never be there to invest, since it's a lot of money. And also you have to build your mindset on that. If anything happens, you can go through it. It is just a short term. It will you'll pass that phase. So you really have to understand that things can happen and you are going to take risks and make sure it's work out well, and really understand the property where you are putting the money in very well. And also if you have low capital, I think some of them initially when I thought I have a very little funding, how can I do that? So the other thing is like proximity is power. So when you like go on this coaching program, you meet all these people, go in the conferences, you meet all these people, then you can really like come together and put money on these properties, and your risks are also divided, and you really can take and stay forward in your real estate journey.
Stay forward as in keeping progress, having traction and keeping progress. It's really important. So you mentioned there, overcoming that fear. It was kind of like a mindset thing that, things can happen. Mm-hmm. And there are different ways when we go into this, which is interesting, Manisha, especially in the single family world, is a lower barrier of entry and the mistakes are smaller. So, in the world of investing, if you're investing something you can't afford to lose, you shouldn't be investing it. It's not that you would ever want to lose it, but in case you do, you can overcome that. Like you were just saying, it's going to be, it's not going to be the end of the world. So the things that are nice in that single family world is that it's an easier barrier to overcome, to get into. And then the mistakes are oftentimes smaller as well, too. And it's also easier to get out for the most part because there's more buyers on the other side. So you mentioned kind of now going into this process, taking action and figuring out what Manisha wanted. You mentioned a couple different asset types in there, as well as exits or hold strategies. So what was the very first house that you bought?
It was a townhome. We brought it was a just townhome. We wanted to see how it works. So we invested, it was in Maryland. So when we already sold that property like 3 years, and we made almost, I think 50,000 just in like period of 2-3 years. So it was great. And I think that boosted us like, okay, it is possible and we can move forward. Like it is really possible and we can do it.
So the real world results were that kind of like feeding that wheel, the flywheel, feeding the flywheel with real world results. That is definitely helpful, because sometimes when we take this action and things don't go our way, sometimes we're like, oh, I don't ever want to do this. Right. And we see this in families too, where they maybe your parents have had 1 or 2 or 3 rentals and it's just been dreadful and it's been hard, because we didn't have the right people in the process, the right systems, the right real estate. So they never want to go and try it again. So it's good when the real world results crank that flywheel. So the flywheel's going. You mentioned you bought that townhome, and for me, instantly pops into my mind is like HOA, Maryland, maybe a difficult place for long-term rentals. There may be some things that popped into my mind at first, and that was your strategy, was a long-term rental with that one?
So, because we knew that area so well and we know the value, like we know it would grow, like, so that's the reason. And we just fixed few things. We made it nicer, and we knew that it would sell right away. So it was a best market because we knew we had been in Maryland before and we knew that market, like if you make things nicer and you can just sell it, it'll like sell in a blink. And that's what happened. Like once you put that in market, it was not a problem to sell at all. So because a lot of houses were old too, in that area. So like once you make it nicer, it'll be like, people will buy it.
And then what was the second purchase?
Second was short-term rental. So we really wanted to, we knew about this material participation. So we really wanted to get that done. So we brought, we brought the vacation home, almost like making it short-term rental. And it's still there. We still own that property right now as a short-term rental.
So short-term rental is, you mentioned material participation. So you were leveraging, there's a way in the tax code so you can leverage these types of properties to take that passive loss that you've created and offset your active income. And then you can use strategies like cost segregation in order to speed that up, to speed up the losses. And it makes me think, I had spoken with a tax consultant. I was actually on the show not too long ago, and she mentioned build and bling. So every time that I talk about cost segregation, I always want to throw in there the building bling side, especially in short-term residential. So there are types of materials that basically you can accelerate the depreciation on when you do these cost segregation studies. So the short-term world is really nice because if you think about building bling, it's just like what it sounds like: luxury flooring, under cabinet lighting, luxury light fixtures. Those are the items that's going to make your rental pop. And then those are also the items that are going to depreciate the fastest. So that's really cool. When we talk about building bling, that's what jumps in my mind every time we talk about material participation, short term, using those methods in order to, take your passive losses and offset your active income. Time of the year that you do that too is if you get something towards the end of the year, it's a little easier to do that. And there are plenty of other physicians out there actually that are doing this and teaching this. And the one thing that I would mention, and we'll talk a little bit about when we get into the syndication piece, is just make sure that who you're talking to has been through a few cycles. As in up and down, and challenges and opportunities, and making sure that they know a little bit what it's like to go through some challenges. That's really important, especially in real estate. So you've got the long term that you kind of flipped. It was kind of like a long term flip, and then you've got a short term that you're holding still as well too. Are you holding any long term rentals right now?
So we brought 24 units last year with 4 of my friends. So that's why I was talking about like going in the contract, making friends, so that like we can mitigate the risk and like kind of know more about the property. So that's what we did. So we brought 24 units in South Carolina last year, and right now we are process of adding 2 units and renovating some of the units right now.
That's amazing. We're at in South Carolina.
Chapin, South Carolina.
Chapin? Interesting. So I asked just because I'm actually sitting in South Carolina right now, and I love the Carolinas. Yes, I love it.
I'm also in North Carolina.
Oh, you are? Isn't that fun? It's the sun is shining where you're at, and it's not quite shining where I'm at. What's up with that? So that's cool. That's really cool. This step too. So the way that you've done these 24 units, so I'm just going to guess here that you've got 4 friends in this deal. So there's maybe 5. So you've probably set up some sort of joint venture. This is not a syndication, right?
No, it is not.
So, and then when you're leveraging other resources, relationships as resources, you are diversifying the risk, you're diversifying the workload, kind of like spreading that stuff out. So it's interesting. And then of 24 units you're adding to, are these multifamily structures, or what is that? What type of?
Yeah, it is an apartment building. So there are like 24 apartments. And then there was a spare laundry rooms, like big laundry rooms. So since all the units has their own proportional laundries, so we decided to change that laundry, and we could make 2 apartments actually from that. So it was awesome. It was huge. So
that's very cool. How did you come across the deal?
Lot of meeting with lot of just cold calling some of the real estate agents, just trying to connect more through, initially I started with Crexy. We also then just make that connection, and we had few real estate agents just that we really like, and like that's how the deal came. Like we went through so many of them, and then at the end we decided on this one.
Nice. So you have a loan on this. Do you have an idea of like ballpark range of what the interest rate was on the loan on a 24 unit?
It was around 6.25.
6.25. And when did you close on that?
In September.
Oh, so recently.
Very recently. Yeah.
Congratulations. How does that? Was it exciting? It was probably scary and exciting all at the same time.
Yes. exactly. It was scary and exciting. Yeah, but and we were so excited to learn that we could change that laundry into like the apartment. So I
Yeah.
think that was like yay part. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's definitely raising the value of the property because you're increasing the income pretty
Mhm.
drastically by adding
Yeah.
two complete units. So
Mhm.
on this loan, then you've got a structure depending on how the entity is structured. Did everybody involved have to sign for the recourse on the loan?
I don't know what. I think we have one who has done mostly. He lives in South Carolina. So I don't know what we did on that. I'm not
Okay.
sure about that. Yeah.
Very interesting. And I'm learning different ways on the entity that's set up, the ownership on who has to sign the loan when it comes to recourse. It may have been a non-recourse scenario. I'm not sure. Just love throwing that out there, kind of like collecting information on, hey, what is everybody else doing? So it's really cool. There's also something that's really cool in South Carolina. There's a way, I have to learn more about this. I think there's a way that you can donate from the LLC that drastically affects the taxes on the property. So if you donate through the LLC, if it's something as small as like 1% or something, it drastically affects the sales tax of the property or the real estate tax on the property.
I didn't
So
know that. Let me write
yeah,
it down.
I will find that out and I will pass that along to you as well too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very, and when you can be intentional and donate and then take a tax advantage
Yeah.
of it,
That's awesome.
it's so cool. So where do you that's the passive side. And I heard you kind of talking, you've got the active side of that the townhouse. The short term is the complete other end of the active side because you find it, then you got to manage all that stuff. And then there's this 24 unit. You said that you like the passive investing better. Is that kind of where you're looking now? You're looking for another apartment building, or what's Manisha looking for now?
Um, so we just brought this. We wanted to stabilize this property before we jump on many others, but uh, we have been investing passively. I like the passive investment in a sense. I can do due diligence, like initially completely understand the property once, and then like I don't have to worry about anything else. Like, I mean, of course, if the money is coming or not, I have to worry
Right.
about that, but like really don't have to worry about what's going on, like anything. So I did enjoy the passive investing that I did last year, like last 2-3 years. So, depending upon how busy I get with my Momkins, my business, we'll decide whether we wanted to do more active versus passive.
Yeah. So you have done those syndications before you did this joint venture structure for the new 24 unit. And then those
Yeah.
syndications, what we talked about is just we don't know the outcome of that yet.
Yeah.
So you may be taking a preferred kind of disbursement quarterly or something on those, but
Yeah.
the exit won't hit until the numbers are right in 3 to 5 years potentially. That's when you see that equity multiple, so that return
Yes.
coming
Yes.
back. So those passive sides are really nice. I always love asking this too. How do you keep track of all your real estate investments?
I mostly keep, I have a CPA, very good CPA who helps me a lot. I write everything down. That's my plain Excel sheet is my go-to. I just write everything like expense, income, everything. I have different folders for different one. So I tried, for expenses and all that stuff. I did try QuickBooks. But I don't know, for some reason I can see in the Excel one page. I can know what's going on. So I really like that. So yeah, that's what I do mostly.
Yeah.
But if you have anything that you do, please let me know.
Oh yes. Well, we're actually developing something on the asset management side, and it's going from, it's taking the finger pointing away And you said QuickBooks. I'm a spreadsheet person as well too. But then there are things that property management software does that we can't get anywhere else. So we're actually in the process of this, and I've been working on this for a couple of years now. So I always love asking those questions because I'm in the sheets every day. I'm in QuickBooks. I'm chasing things down. In my Monday process, I got my board up here. I need to know what is the most important thing that I need to look at, right? What's in my portfolio do I need to have my eyes on? What needs my attention? Because even though we have property managers, nobody's going to care more about your money than you do. So what are these things in this data that I need to look at, that need attention, that need action? So those are the big pieces. When we put all this together, we're looking at vacancies, rent ready units, units that are being marketed. We got renovations, lease updates, insurance, taxes, refis, like all of this stuff. Because if you look at in the single family world, most of the time people don't track things like credit loss to lease. And from the multifamily world, that's how we make sure the assets are performing, right? So how do I hold my property managers' feet to the fire? I need to own this. I need to be the doctor in the room when I'm looking at my real estate, right?
That's great. Yeah, please update me once that's out there. I'd love to be enrolled in that.
Yeah, and then implementing the beautiful technology of today, so we can have basically like AI help us understand this massive amount of data, because a lot of times we'll have data overload. I've got too much data going on. So yeah, but it's fun. We'll definitely keep you in the loop on that as well too. If you could go back 15 years ago, sat beside somebody that's maybe on a similar path as you, maybe I believe you were a hospitalist at one point, right? If you could sat beside somebody maybe is on that path, maybe in residency, maybe just kind of just starting out, but you have the knowledge and the experience that you have from today, and you go back and sit next to that person, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to read more books. Just like get that information right there, because for me, I didn't like to read any other books than medical books, because that was more than enough for me. So I never even tried or even look into other books. If I was to read, I used to read some romance novel. That's it. But now I realize how much all these mindset books, finance book, real estate books, these are so important for your growth. So I would read I would have started reading long time ago. That's one of the most important thing. The other is proximity is power. I do understand that you have to be surrounded by the people that will encourage you, that will guide you and really be there, especially when you are doing all these risky things like giving you information, helping you to grow. So I really think that we have to that's what I'll do. I'll find more good friends. I'll do all these coaching courses. I'll do whatever, do my self-development, because if your self-development is good, then I think you'll really progress in your life.
Yeah. You will bring others with you. When you have that self-realization, self-development, invest in yourself. It's not being selfish. That's how you're going to help other people, is investing in yourself. And I love this piece. The mindset is always first. And this piece of, I always the analogy, when you're in an airplane, and hopefully you've never ever seen the masks drop in an airplane, right? The oxygen mask. But when they go through this whole spiel and they're dancing and the flight attendants go through the spiel, the first thing they do is say, if you have children, AKA people you have to help, you have to put your mask on first. So if you think of self-development the same way that you need air in a situation like that, you have to give it to yourself first, or else you won't be able to help anybody else out. So focusing on yourself is not selfish; it's required. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing I forgot was invest early, because I think I is like invested very late in life. So for myself, read books and invest as soon. Like even if you make very little money, just put some of them aside and invest.
Yep. Invest. And if you're young, invest in yourself. And always invest in yourself. But if you're looking for something to invest in yourself. And there was the last thing. I love books. I went for too long and not reading books. And now I can go down and look in our library, and it's, if I have guests over, I always kind of find some way to drag them into the library and just want them to look. And I want them to pick like these books off the wall and start a conversation. And the other thing I love is giving books away too. So I had given a book, Stop Worrying was one, Stop Worrying, Living Your Life. Anyway, I'd given this book to somebody and they had read it and they went to give it back. I'm like, no, you keep it. That's yours. And if you want, pay it forward, give it to somebody else. I laid down the joke at that time, Manisha. I said, if you want to hide something from the rest of the world, put it in a book. So many people stop reading after high school, stop reading after college. I'm sure there are plenty of physicians, just like you were saying, you didn't want to read anything else that was outside of the medical world, right? But there's so much to it. There's so much in there. If the listeners out there today want to connect with you, they can find you on the website to talk about real estate, but you are also looking for other service providers, right? Tell us a little bit about that briefly.
Yes, sure. So I have launched Momkins. It's a website where we connect trusted providers with new moms. So we are really if you're one of your listeners, if they are like mental health therapists, lactation, photographer, massage therapist, whatever, whoever they are that can help make mom's life easy, then please join Momkins. It's free to sign up right now. We haven't started like payment plan right now. So it's free to sign up. We are exploring North Carolina right now, but we will eventually move forward and like hopefully we'll make it like all around US. But we really wanted to help new moms, and during this like crucial time where they are really stressed out and need help. And I want to make those process as easy as possible.
So you're looking eventually spreading wider, but right now is in the state of North Carolina?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. So if anybody's out there listening to this who is a provider that makes mom's life easier, easier, that's it. Whatever it may be, if it's a smile, whatever it may be, find Manisha at momkins.com, momkinz.com. We're going to stick that in the description of the show as well, too. You can connect with her there. You can talk real estate. You can talk moms, kiddos, everything. You can talk there. Manisha, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I really had fun.
Awesome. And you heard it straight from Manisha. If you were to go back and start things again, read more books, invest early, and surround yourself with the right people. Those, I think, are three key and crucial elements. And guess what? There's no better time than to start now. Just because you put something off or haven't done it or didn't know, now's the time. Now you know. Now there's a seed that's been planted. Nurture it. Pull the weeds, nurture the seed. That's how you like that one. Well, thank you again for your time listening to us, and more importantly, your attention, whether it's in the hospital, in the office, in the car, in the gym, wherever you may be. Thank you for your attention. And please reach out to us if you have any questions, if we can help you in any way. Join the community, spread the fun, plant the seed, and pull the weeds. This is the Real Estate Mogul MD.